All right. Welcome, anyone that might be joining in. Feel free to put your hello and greetings in the chat. You can let us know where you're coming in from. I am joining you from Oregon on the Western United States. All right. Welcome, everyone, as you're joining in. I'm going to let everyone get into the room before we officially start. Feel free to share where you're coming in from in the chat. Ooh, and in your native language is amazing too. Uh, let's see. Looks like we have some places across the US and BC, British Columbia, India.
This will be
Hello.
recorded, so I think someone asked in Portuguese if I don't know because I don't speak Portuguese, but I think they asked if it could be translated. And so this will be recorded, so you can actually then translate it, certainly better than I could, into your native tongue.
Perfect. Thank you for catching that, Hazel. All right. I think we will go ahead and get started. It's 1 minute after 8, and I wanted to keep us going. We have some really good information that's going to be shared today. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This webinar is from ENSULIB, the Environmental Sustainability and Library section of IFLA, and it's called Library of Things, a critical component of libraries as access points to local, resilient, and sustainable futures. So, a little blurb about that. So, libraries are lending beyond books. It exists all over the world. But beyond that, libraries can be a disaster resource center. They can lend tools and items to try out before making an investment. They can offer events on how to repair those items, along with tools required to do so. They serve as places where intergenerational groups connect over yard games to art activities. Libraries of Things provide access to a wide range of items from gear for adventure to essential well-being tools. So this webinar today will share how to plug into this rapidly growing and increasingly connected system of Library of Things, both inside and outside the traditional library world, and discover how they can meet your goals. So my name is Beth Filer Williams, and I am a user experience research librarian at Oregon State and a member of ENSULIB. So it's just a little screenshot of what ENSULIB does. We try to work with communities to inspire them to take on environmentally sustainable ways of action, providing materials on green librarianship and trying to give voices to projects that are happening worldwide. Beyond managing the yearly IFLA Green Library Award, ENSULIB offers many projects and activities from webinars like this one today, recordings of others. We have book projects like Libraries Driving Education for Sustainable Development that came out last year. We do events and conference sessions. We're planning right now for the Congress. It's going to happen in Korea in August. And also many other online resources. Please check out and use. We have in translations in various languages for our definitions, checklist, and posters and tools. And we often ask for volunteers to help out with some of these things, from translating to Green Library Awards. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter. I'll put some of those in the chat when I'm finished with reading this introduction. I did want to point out that it is being recorded and including the chat. We will be posting this video on YouTube after and as well as promoting it on Facebook and beyond. We are keeping your microphones on mute, so please use the chat for any questions. We will definitely get to them at the end. I will be here to help monitor those. And we have other options if we don't get to all the questions for you to connect with Hazel and learn more. So, getting to the best part now. Hazel Onsrud is a public librarian at Curtis Memorial Library, and she works with community programming and collection development, including an extensive library of things focused on the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. She serves as an International Library of Things mutual aid group and the advisory board for the Sustainable Libraries Initiative and the steering committee for Me Collab, which I assume is like a main collaborative. She enjoys collaborating with good humans around the globe and was named the 2024 Library Journal Mover and Shaker and a 25 New York Times Changemaker. Prior to her work in public libraries, Hazel co-founded the Maine Tool Library and spent a bunch of time learning from graceful teachers. In her free time, she likes to create things, eat moles, and designing gardens. So thank you, Hazel. And we are ready to go with your library of things if you want to share your screen and take it off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beth. I've been a fan of your work and this team and all of the sustainability work you folks have done. It's so exciting to me to be here, and I hope to connect with you all more in person someday. But also virtually is great too. So let's see. There, it's coming up. So on that note, as I'm getting this ready, please, I can't necessarily monitor chat perfectly while I present. I'm not that talented, but I do encourage you all to please don't hesitate with your questions, with your comments, with your great ideas. Usually, I like to have really interactive presentations where we all share a bunch of great, wonderful things we lend. But I didn't structure this presentation quite that way because I wasn't sure how it worked. In this case, though, I really encourage you to ask as many questions as you want to or need to, because even if we don't get time to answer them today, I will get the chat. Beth and I already talked about it, and we will answer them all on the Lot Mutual Aid group. This is an open group that any of you can join, and I'll be talking more about that today. Also, I've put my contact information as well as some relevant links that I'll be talking about here throughout, so you can see that all in chat. And please, again, don't hesitate to reach out and ask, connect. Again, I love working with good humans around the globe, and I'd be honored. I'm an introvert, so if you message me, I'm like, oh, someone wants to talk to me about geeky things. That's wonderful. So that's great. Cool. So, thank you so much for being here. We're here to talk about Library of Things. And I really feel like these are critical components of libraries. You don't have to have them. Your library does not have to have a Library of Things. I'll still think you're awesome. But I really think that for some of us, they can be really great tools to help us meet our needs. And I think we all agree that we've got a lot of needs. Okay. So, if you forget everything else in this presentation, I hope you remember this, which is please join us. We need your diverse voices and talents and perspectives. And if you are all interested in lending things beyond books, which is what I'll call Library of Things, please consider joining our group. We have a mutual aid group. It's just an email group. It's a listserv. There's a link to the very basic web page right there. But really, all the sharing happens on the listserv. And it's really lovely for us to be able to email out to this group and say, hey, do any of you lend this? Or does anyone have any good dementia tools? And to have oodles and oodles of answers from around the world. At this point, most of this is done in English, but just because I'm limited in that, but we would love to also have other languages and other humans and other perspectives on this. And we do have libraries around the world that are on this group. So, the other thing I would like you to remember is this group is where we have a lot of the solutions and the proven solutions that already exist about Library of Things. So if you have someone or you have someone who's worried about something, lending something, or you have issues about cleanliness, or you late fees, or insurance, or repair, we've got you covered. Someone has a solution for it. These are all solvable problems. Yes. And in fact, more than solvable, we have decades of experience on this now. So I've been in the tool and Library of Things lending world for about 15 years now, direct every day. But we even have decades before that. So and the great news is when you come to join the group, you're going to be able to learn from folks, wiser than me who have done this for even longer, as well as you're going to be like, wait a minute, technology has changed or our community is different. We can do this a better way, and you're going to level us all up. So the diversity of voices is really valued. That being said, today you're stuck with me. So even though I'm one person, again, I hope I'm going to do an okay job representing the many, many voices and many, many humans who at my library, which is a small and rural library in Maine, although it's big for Maine, but which is in the United States, in the northeastern United States. There's a team here who makes this library of things happen. It is not just me. I've made bad decisions and they've told me things like, Hazel, we have to laminate. I know you don't like plastic, but we got to laminate. And guess what? They were right. So it takes a team. And just like at any library, and I like to think of libraries as our two essential jobs are really to help people engage with whatever it is, with their project, with their community issues, with whatever it is we're dealing with, or it is to escape. Because, to do that well, often many of us need to read a romance novel. We need to be in our own little world. We need to get excited about this little project. And we need to do, as libraries, we need to do both these things well, right? Engage and escape and provide those services. And it looks very different in every community. Well, libraries of things can help you do that, right? They can help you do that in really different ways. So today we're going to talk about the modern library and existing libraries of things. Well, a few of them at least. And then we're going to talk a bit about the potential of these sharing ecosystems. Um, and I get really excited here, fair warning. So I'm gonna try to keep my excitement down, but just know if you have any ideas and want to help us in this, want to help, you want to start a library of things somewhere in your part of the world, if you want to, tweak your sharing ecosystem, yay! I've got folks who want to help you, myself included, and we're all in this team together. So then we're going to talk something else that's exciting about these diverse models that exists. There are so many different types of library of things. There's so many different ways to lend objects. There's so many different types of objects to lend. There's so many different types of programs you could run with those objects. So I'm trying to give you a little spattering today so you can see some of the options, but there's so much more detail on any of those forms on the Lot Mutual Aid group. And this is where you can really custom make the solution that fits for you and your community. Or you'll find one that I don't talk about, and you'll be like, Hazel, why didn't you talk about this? And I'll say, because you're going to, hopefully. Um, we're also going to then talk about the library I'm from, Curtis Memorial Library, as an example, because it's a fairly small library globally. It's small and rural, but it's also very privileged in other ways. And we're going to talk about how we have used our library of things to meet those community needs, and what I call missing literacies. So sometimes when we were getting started on this 10 years ago, there was a question of, well, do we want the library to address those needs? And we decided yes, little by little, we wanted to address other needs. And so as a part of that, we called a lot of the needs we addressed were missing literacies in our community. So we addressed digital literacy and cooking literacy and traditional skill literacy. And you'll see examples of that. And then again, most importantly, I'm going to end with how to join the fun, because that's really, you might be here for different reasons, but I'm here for that. I want to have more fun with all of y'all and create a interconnected global sharing ecosystem, because we already have it and we can help each other. So that's the plan. So first off, I assume all of you folks are somewhat associated with libraries if you found this. So I'm not going to belabor this point, but I just want to call out that the modern library is not what some people think of it as. I still have people who meet me on the streets like, oh, that must be so peaceful. You just get to sit and read. Right? We all know that that's not true. In fact, in many places, we are what I consider to be the emergency room for societal issues, right? We can't necessarily solve all those societal issues, but gosh darn it, we do a good job. We try hard to triage, we try hard to meet those needs. Oh, and we try to help you find your book too, right? And we provide things that folks may not think of. You may not think that you're actually lending, empathy or that you're lending community space, but you are often. And you're doing so in a way that's free and open to all. So thank you guys, because you're pretty awesome for being in this field. So the other thing I want to make sure to say is that libraries of things exist in all types all around the globe. And this is a map of everyone I've asked to speak or has spoken at the Lot Mutual Aid Group. And you can find those um, uh, presentations online. They're free, they're open to anyone. None of us got any money for doing them. We're just good humans trying to help each other. And I have a list of all the countries in the world next to me with a whole bunch of other invites that are somewhat in my email and somewhat on this piece of paper. And if you are here from a library and you would like to speak and share your knowledge and your perspective, we would love to have you. We're constantly trying to illuminate and lift up the amazing work that's being done. So, I already mentioned I'm from one of those little dots, although actually I probably don't have a dot there because I don't think I've actually ever spoken at the Lot Mutual Aid Group. I just get to talk to other lovely humans. But this is the library I'm from. Again, very, I'd say globally privileged. We have this is now what our library of things looks like. We put it on the shelves. It started out with me pruning my book sections and then saying, "Oh, look, we have space for a walk. Let's put that there." And then patrons loved it. And the reason I had a walk is because we were running cooking programs to meet our community needs. And we'll talk more about that in the future. But this is the perspective that I'm coming from. And overall, we try not to lend hate, dangerous germs, or underwear. But besides that, like to think we're pretty open-minded. So if you now we're at the situation where if you walk in and want to lend an item, we're like, okay, why not? Let's think it through. But then, okay, sure, we'll take this thing we didn't expect, and we'll try to lend it. And then I actually take more than what we need, and then we give it to other libraries to start their library of things. So it's, our community members are just leveling all of our region up, and it's been really wonderful to work with all of you. So I get really excited because our sharing ecosystem can provide so much good. And this is not just going to be done by libraries. So I think that's really, really important. Let me say it again. I don't think you should add any more work to your plates, okay? You do a lot as library workers. However, if lending things can help you meet your goals and help give you joy, then you might want to consider lending things. And that's what's happened to us. But we also need other folks from beyond the traditional library world. So, how great would it be if in every public library, in every academic library, in every specialty library, yeah, we lent the things that made sense for our community? Like if you are an academic library and you have a medical school, wouldn't it be great if you had, models of bodies that people could use? Well, they do. This exists. And so then imagine if we um, oh, Robert, I've been trying to get a hold of you. Yay. Okay, sorry, I just saw someone in the chat. I've been watching the chat. You guys are also from exciting places and doing exciting things. Yay. Um, Thank you so much for coming. Um, we can also have different community places lend things. So here we've done trainings on how to set up a street share, and we've helped people set up trailhead lockers. And we know that friend groups can get together and lend things. And sometimes lending can be as simple as just a spreadsheet or a bulletin board. And other times, yeah, you want fancier software. This is something that we can talk about. But that is this goal of that we can that we can create together and by working together. And the goal is to make it easier on us. My friend John is really clever because he used to have to work many Saturdays, but by working together with neighboring libraries, he now runs he gets a repair cafe in our or in our region every Saturday or every month, sorry, for anyone who needs it. But he works less because he cooperates with all these other people who also, each take a turn bringing donuts to the Repair Cafe volunteers. And I'm really lucky because our library of things also gets repaired there. So John and my cubicles look a lot better. We can stuff them full of other things. So there's many, many lot examples to choose from. I'm going to talk about all of these today, but there's even more that I didn't list there. And so just remember that they work, and that some of those things that you're wondering about, like, well, what about insurance or what about ladders? We've got you covered. We have some people who lend it, some people who don't, and on all of these models, there's those of us have very different ideas of what we want to lend in our community. Okay, so let's get started. First off, you can lend libraries of things just like you lend books. So you can lend this ice pick for 3 weeks, just like you would a book. Someone comes and borrows it and returns it. My colleague, this you can see this little selection of tools. These are things we lend here at Curtis Memorial Library, just like books. And some things, if they get really popular, like the solar oven might get really popular during a certain season, then we say, ooh, actually, we're just going to lend that for 1 week at a time. For example, our electric wood chipper, very, very popular in certain seasons. So we just lend it at 1 week, or what's called a blueberry rake. We lend it just 1 week at a time. So that's great, but overall, they lend it just like books. You can put it on reserve, but you can't reserve it for a specific date and time. And my friend, this works in big libraries. My friend in Brazoria, Texas, Lisa, her library lends trailers, right? So she's lending trailers this way, and that it works wonderfully. And so whether you're big or small, you can lend you can lend things just like you lend books, and it works. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's letting people get access to things like disaster response tools, like you just saw. In Tallinn, Estonia, they're doing that, and guess what? They're delivering chainsaws and gardening tools to patrons on a bus. We don't lend chainsaws where I am. I own one. I use one. They're pretty regular here in our neck of the world. But and I highly encourage you to try out the electric versions. But we decided that at our public library that wasn't a good fit for us. I've talked to the Goethe Institute in Jakarta, Indonesia. And they have their tools in this beautiful aesthetic display that makes you really want to try out all these cool, like a cookie making set and things. In Reykjavik, Anna created this amazingly slick system, which you all should read about if you're even considering the locker system, where you can use your phone, you can just go reserve it, you can go grab the item and it from to and from a locker. It's amazing. My favorite part about it is it's scalable to small libraries or large libraries, and she's using old IKEA cabinets to do this. And again, I just talked to an amazing person in rural Maine the other day who will be presenting in another Lot Mutual Aid group where they're using storing the library of things on a trailer that they're then making it go to their small regional libraries. So once a month, the library of things comes to your library. And there's just so many more models of that. Additionally, of course, these are all different types of traditional libraries. Because guess what? Libraries are pretty good at lending things. We know how to do this, right? So whether you're academic library, a school library, or a specialty library, you know how to lend items. These are some of the tools that we lend that you might be like, wow, we have that in our closet. Well, yeah, instead of it being in your closet, you can lend it. And that's how I did that. That's how I seriously, a lot of our stuff, I was like, went through our closets. I'm like, what is it? Can we lend it? Do we use this? Can I lend it? That's how it got started because we're like, it's sitting around. Let's lend it instead. And so now and that's how we started it actually was in the closet I cleared out. And now I take meetings there. So today I'm being fancy and using a study room. So this is the type of thing I highly encourage you if you don't run Meet the Candidate nights, run them. Having local learning about your local candidates as well as your other candidates. If you're in a place where we're privileged enough to have that voting power, I highly encourage you to think about running this. We run them at our library. I'm happy to share all my emails, all of the facilitation work on that Lot Mutual Aid group. You can plug and play and adapt it. But I also want to call out, just like I did at the beginning, that it's going to take more than just us as public libraries. And there are phenomenal examples of folks around the world who are sharing great things outside of public libraries. I mean, in France, there's a whole library lending network just for kids' toys. And in Sweden, they're lending amazing gear to in all sorts of different locales. Um, and some are affiliated with nonprofits, other affiliated with governments. There's so many different models to do this. And for that, I point you not to the Lot Mutual Aid Group, but to Shareable. Shareable.org, in full disclosure, I've given some of these presentations. So um, they really have started working hard with all these community members to develop toolkits on how to share items. And the great news is that they and others of us are really committed to showing how there's many examples and many ways to do this. There's not one right way, right? There's many shades of gray. There's also a really great thing that, so we've already talked about lending items just like books, right? So when in doubt, think of it as a book. Um, but you can also lend things for specific dates and times. So this, you can see here, these are actually the things we're going to be lending at our library this fall. We're going to have a fall festival where you can crack nuts and shuck corn and pop popcorn in solar ovens and process nuts like acorns and things, as well as do a few other things, get fruit and make apple cider and, kind of classic skills for living off the land, which works well in our library and with the land trust and things. And these tools are going to be really useful at that event, but they'll also be useful because people will then afterwards are going to be able to borrow them on the specific date and time they need. So if you have to have an outdoor birthday party, you can just go borrow the 20 placeware set, which will be mismatched. It will be durable, or it will be metal or something easy to clean in a dishwasher, so that you can we don't all have to own a picnic table or a 12 by 12 tent. Or in many cases, there's no way we could own all of this. I know my budget doesn't allow for that. So it lets us get access to these things we wouldn't normally have. So you can imagine how much easier it is to plan your kid's birthday party. There's been so many birthday parties planned, and weddings and a whole bunch of other things, thanks to the Library of Things. We also, at our Library of Things, we don't lend consumable items, but there's other libraries that do. So they focus a lot on consumable items in their kits, and they lend a bunch of consumable items, and they are better than us at replacing those all the time. We don't do that. We might lend the leatherworking tools or the rock carving tools, but we don't lend the rocks or the or the consumable items. So what we decided was to write up what we don't lend and why, and where you could find those items. And then we started swap carts. So for us, we work again a lot with other community members. So Goodwill in Northern New England is a place you can go to get a lot of used items. Habitat for Humanity is a wonderful resale shop. We have local hardware stores, but they didn't want the little nails and screws and things that might be in your basement. They didn't want like the one-off, oh, I didn't finish, this small amount of tile. They're like, please, Hazel, don't send those people to us. We love them, but we're not the right fit for that. So guess what? We decided the library was. And now there's libraries throughout our region who are also having free carts. So every Tuesday you can also come get free food, free gleaned food that would have stayed in the farmers' fields, but we have volunteers to get it. We have free tools, just like going to, or free nails and screws and bolts, just like going to a hardware store, but instead we have it in little blueberry totes at our store. And we have art supplies. Art supplies is really hard too, because when we buy them here, we tend to be pretty militant about toxicity and eco versions of the items, but if we spend money on them. But here, nothing goes to waste. So if you have acrylic paint, guess what? You can use it and share it. We also something. So this one, I get really excited about this because I think it's so established in the library world, lending passes, right? That it could be used for so much more. So in the library world, you can lend passes to go to a museum, right? Well, so that's what that some people consider that their library of things. So, but also imagine any rental organization. So maybe you have a kayak rental organization or a bike rental organization or a car rental organization with electric cars or electric trikes. Here, that would be, there's all sorts of rental organizations around the world. Imagine if you as a library actually, instead of worried about lending all that stuff, and you didn't have to have space for kayaks in your library, you just paid them a little bit of money and they lent it for you. How does this work? Well, this is how it works. So this is you can use your Let Pass system to actually have a library of things. So for example, for us, we didn't want to lend sleeping bags and tents because of bed bugs and hygiene. And there was no way we could store oodles of snowshoes in different sizes. But yet, we live in a place where it snows, where there's four seasons. And so getting outside has all these benefits for all sorts of reasons. And we wanted to run programs on them. And so we then what we did is we partnered with Main Gear Share and said, "Hey, could we give you a little bit of money if we found a donor, and then folks from our library could just go bring the pass and then use all your equipment?" And they said, "Absolutely, we would love that." So we've been trying this out this past year. It has been an amazing win for both organizations. We're keeping all of that data, and we hope to present on it very soon. Um, yeah, like within as soon as the it finishes up. So this is a phenomenal opportunity because you could lend those same experiences to performances. You could lend bikes, you could lend tricycles, you could lend any rental option. So that's a really great way to start a library of things without using any of your space. One of the ways, so I get really excited about topical lots because again, we don't need to do it all, right? It may be that your library is a perfect fit for a specialty toy library, but it may be like, no, we're not lending toys at all at our library, and there's a very good reason for that. That should go, be at the local synagogue or something else, right? We all are going to find the right fit for our community. And so one of the right fits for our community was that we have done hundreds of programs at our library, and they're all sustainability programs. And one of the key ones for us was actually doing crafts. We found we met people where they were at, which is they wanted to do crafts. And they wanted all the benefits that that provides, whether it's relaxation, it's community building, intergenerational programming, the list goes on. But at the same time, we didn't want to support a system where let's go buy plastic to create more plastic for no purpose. Um, and we uh, what we've done is we started doing craft classes, really looking at traditional skills. And so everything from net making and rope making and paper making to modern instantiations of that. So you might have started rug hooking, but now the modern day folks, you get a rug punch gun, and comparing and contrasting those. So it was a real complement to our book collection, but it also was really exciting for people because it provided them with a less expensive way to participate in crafts and a higher quality products. So this has been an amazing win-win here. And we, we can share all of this programming. In fact, my colleague from Arkansas, Rachel, and I just did a programming lecture, and we would love to do more. And there's an amazing programmer down here in Okaparinga. Oh, I know I said that wrong. She'll correct me. She's amazing. Anyway, what they're doing down in Australia, where they're teaching all these classes and things with our library of things. So there's some of us who do this extensively. We've literally run hundreds here. And we're, again, a small library staff. Programming isn't even, our full-time jobs. We're running desk and things. But library of things just makes it so, so easy to, let's run a soap making class. And next thing you know, you have people making soap and running businesses in your own home community. And this works at a small library or a larger library. In Arkansas, my friend Rachel at Cal's, Central Arkansas Library System. It's a much larger library, but they have made this work as well. They have done tons of invasive species programs and built really useful bird houses and all sorts of things. And of course, there's nuance to all of this, right? Some of us, we do lend to children, other people don't. Other people do programming with children, other people don't. So there's so many questions that these all will bring up. So I'm just trying to give you a spattering of all the options available, but please get in touch. Contact us for details because we've all got a different way we're sauteing the seaweed. So one place where we share a lot of programs, and I know a lot of other folks do, is with the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. So if you're interested in more kind of sustainability programs, especially with Library of Things, I highly encourage you to consider joining the Sustainable Libraries Initiative. If nothing else, just look at all the free resources. No one's in this to make money, right? We're here to scale sustainable solutions. So you can get so many of these resources absolutely for free. And this is where that diagram comes from, actually. We as a profession, we identify sustainability. In the US, we call it a core value, but globally, of course, it's a key component of where we need to go in the future and where well, frankly, it's just going to make our lives easier as librarians if we start paying attention to this more. So, um, all of the work we do with Library of Things, I encourage you to think about it in ways that are environmentally sound, socially equitable, and economically feasible. So, I feel like Libraries of Things can really help us create this shared future where this is near. Like this is we drafted this app, in literally under 5 minutes with the help of AI, and it almost worked. Um, but you can scan basically any toy tool. You could be at a store and be like, wow, I really need that hammer drill. And you could scan it and it would be like, oh yeah, that is a hammer drill. Or maybe you didn't know what it was. Like it's a Dave built nutcracker. And you're like, what is that tool? I wonder if I can get it from my library. Well, you can scan it, you can find it at your library and you can check it out. Yes, yes, this is possible. But what we need is more people to run these type of things so that um then instead of just being my local library, oh well, it's the library next door, oh it's the toy share in the basement of that community center, oh it's the rental bike shop that is also partnering with the library. So my question to you is, what are the right libraries of things for your community? Every community is going to be different and unique, but at the same time, we can all learn from each other and we can all help each other out. So we don't sweat the small stuff. And like if one of us has a good Canva design, great. We share it on the listserv, you can steal it and we can sweat the other stuff. Um, and again, I always stress with these fits for your community, you need to work with your community on that. We have another whole talk about identifying your community needs and finding the right fit. For us, we work with our community members. So we work with local businesses. We work with folks. So everyone's enthusiastic about this option because if folks here can afford the tools, then they're more likely to go to the local businesses and support them doing that and actually buy stuff for their projects. So it's a real win-win. And that's what this is all about. And that's why the Sustainable Development Goals, I think, are a really great way to start when you're thinking about your community needs. Frankly, it's a really low bar, right? Like this isn't, we're not talking about like you living your best life here, but wouldn't it be great if our communities had no poverty and zero hunger? I know ours isn't like that. I'm wrong and yours is. But if it's not, Library of Things can help you achieve this. And I know that because our Library of Things is specifically designed for that reason. At CML, we lend a couple of thousand items that are not traditional books. I think, about 2,000. We have a teen section, a kids section, and an adult section. And it has really helped us address these community needs. We have food insecurity, for example, and I'm going to go into some of the ways that Library of Things has helped us address that. But all of these topics, we all delved into them over the past decade because we had a community need and we were partnering with community partners that we were trying to help them meet those needs. Okay, just checking my time. So again, we focus on actions that fit our community, and here's our super fancy formula for doing that. Wrote it on the back of a piece of scrap paper, but basically we have community needs, which is the sad face, and we want to address them. So I'm not telling you we've solved food insecurity or poverty, but I can absolutely tell you that we have helped people and that we have done some really great things that have improved people's lives. And I hope we did it in a more globally responsible way so that we didn't hurt anyone in the process. And so that's what those three circles are. That's referring to the sustainability diagram. Is that okay? If we take a problem and then we look through the lens of sustainability and we get together resources like books, but also like things, good humans, doing the work, who is working on that topic, who know what they're talking about and can educate us, then us as a library can provide the space and the programming to address those needs. And for us, it's been really great, and it's really worked well for us, and it's made our lives easier. And this is just an example of how we have helped address some of the sustainability goals through Library of Things in our community. But that's by no means where we stopped. And every time we're trying to think about how we can save our direct community, save them money, increase their safety, and give them some joy. Because guess what? A lot of people will go to programs if you talk about joy. I mean, if you focus it on joy. So, library of programs can be sustainable, even if you never use the word sustainability. In fact, I usually don't. Stealth sustainability around here. So, some things we've done here is we've done repair and adaptation classes for all. We've done adapting your home so you can stay in it as you age. We have lent so many different types of items, but I wanted to call out, we get inspiration from all different places. Like if you think about climate solutions, for example, there's so many items you can lend that would help you create that, better cook stove, or that would help you do a green building, and when you need to, make a new garden shed. Someone was inspired by this electric mixer for earth and plaster and then got super into straw bale building and all sorts of things here, which was really exciting for us. We can also use programming, more traditional library programs like those with music, with food or art, or crafting. And Library of Things can help you put on those programs. I really encourage you not to discount things that aren't, okay, well, this is solving a need. We need to just solve it in a non-fun, classic way. No, you can make it fun. I guarantee you, if you get the right people in the room, they can make it fun. And that's what we tried to do with food insecurity, especially. Um, we have run hundreds of food programs, and what we've tried to do is all programs have been both for haves and have-nots. You might have money, but you might not have any friends. You might have access to food, but you don't know what to. If I were to give you a squash, we had people who didn't know what to do with it, or a kohlrabi, versus other people, they are working two jobs, so they needed the programming at 8, at 7 in the morning. We did that. And we did it because we worked with partners. And those partners were willing to work with us because we're the public library. And so we have some people pay attention to us. We have we're free and open to all, but also because we were willing to get these resources. And by get these resources, let me tell you, you might look at this and think you had a huge budget. No, no, you're seeing the non-closet version. We started with zero. Yes, that was my programming budget. Zero for years. So this was donated from the community, or this was things I literally found in the closets. Now we do have a programming budget, and we do have a Library of Things budget. We feel very privileged. We have a $1,000 repair budget for our Library of Things. So that's the big budget. Yeah, that's for some of you are going, oh my gosh, that's so much money. And for others of you, you're saying, that's all you spend? Yeah, yeah, it is. Um, we run programs in other ways. So we are able to like got a grant, or so we have a programming budget now where we do run programs. So if we buy like musical instruments for the program, we then lend them afterwards. Um, but it's really all about partnerships. And so some of these tools you can see, that we lent all of these because we ran a program with them. And we worked with community members to make those programs. So, you may not know a lot about no-till ag, but I guarantee someone in your community does. And I guarantee if you work with them, you can help meet their needs and some of those other folks who might not have any interest in no-till ag, but just wanted a job or just wanted some yummy veggies. Um, so this is some of the tools we have. You can see when we looked at tools to get over time, we didn't just run multicultural cooking programs. We also ran programs on how to grow food. We also ran programs on what to do with the food after you had it. Like, wow, do you know how helpful it is to have a steamer juicer when you have a lot of fruit? Incredibly helpful. The mushroom log drill, oh my gosh, so worth it. If any of you have ever bought shiitake mushrooms or oyster mushrooms, they can be really expensive. But guess what? If you get a packet of spawn, you can drill holes in a log, which we have a lot of here, and you can have mushrooms for free for 5 years. for $20. And with that tool, it takes an afternoon process into half an hour. That's a worthwhile tool to have at a public library, right? And there's so many tools like that, and we share those on the Lot Mutual listserv. So again, this is something where we're always partnering, right? My friend Rebecca, who runs the Seed Library program, she's amazing, and we work with them. So we're always giving back and working with other folks. And there's so much more we can do. We're working on a bevy of local STEAM climate solution kits that will open source. We have repair kits. We're working with health programs so that you can have health kits. So that why don't we volunteer? And so much more. So again, we need your solutions too, because I guarantee you have them. And this can be as simple as starting with a shelf with some local volunteer skill shares and donated tools. That's exactly what we did. It wasn't the monetary resources. It was just some clever humans on this team who said, we can solve this problem if we work together. So your sharing ecosystem could be even more vibrant. And I hope it will be. And I hope I get to be a part of it and see it, just like ours. I could see that, maybe you're going to have a toy share from that local religious organization. And maybe you're going to lend library passes for the occasional electric trike or the occasional electric truck that you need. Maybe you need shared lesson materials. So we have a gentleman talking at the Lot Mutual Aid Group coming up, and he's going to be talking about how he shares in his school system as a school librarian. Um, Maybe you have a lot of people who want to preserve all their photos and their memory equipment, tape recorders, VHS converters. That's a nice, easy entry point for a lot of libraries with Library of Things that feels very on mission. Um, Other times it might be English language learning and literacy. I tell you, we have an extensive education library of things because we work directly with English language learners, literacy volunteers, um, and it has been used by so many more people than you would expect. And that's wonderful because uh, it's helping a lot of humans in a lot of different ways. You can see all of this if you go to our website. We have the catalog is there. We've used many different catalogs over time. And that's something that, again, we're actually hoping to do a communal learning on in the future, where we have a lot of different libraries talk about the different catalogs they use and why it works for them. Because, again, a diversity of solutions is going to be our strength. So sharing these solutions, though, so that you don't have to waste your time on the unfun stuff, and you instead can spend your time on the stuff you want to spend it on, is why we created these groups. So I really hope that this was worth your time to come to. And if it wasn't, please tell me because I'd like to know that too. I promise I have a tween. Um, if I can take her outfit critique, I can take you telling me that we should talk about other things too, because that's really important. And the topics that you suggest, what we'll do is we're going to try to share those on the Lot Mutual Aid Group. We're going to try to share those on Shareable. We're going to try to and keep doing sustainable programming through the Sustainable Libraries Initiative, and as well as all the sustainability programs, like you guys, like Sustain RT, like all of you around the world. Um, Together, we can help lift each other up. And what's happened, and I hope keeps happening, is that we'll hear from many more voices other than mine, so that when I hear of someone in, like in Jakarta, if anyone's in that region, I'm going to send them there. They're doing awesome stuff at the Goethe Institutes all around the world. If I hear great things about gear lending, I mean, I'm going to definitely send them to Sweden and some other places. Um, and I hope you are those voices too, and I would love to send people your way. So again, thank you so much for your attention and time. And I think I've left a little bit of time for some questions, but those we don't get to, we will get answered. And if you're someone who has connections in the amazing insurance world, or you are a tool manufacturer or stuff, don't think that you can't fit into this ecosystem. We need you too, and we got plenty of ideas on how we're going to work together. So whatever your hat you're wearing, it's valued.
Oh, that was amazing. I'm
Oh,
looking at the chat and there's so many people that are super jazzed up and excited. So I can't wait for to share the chat with you afterwards so you can see all the exciting things
yay!
going on.
Yeah, I
Let's
had
see,
to
a
hide it.
couple
I got
things.
too
Yeah.
excited by the people joining. I was like, oh no, I'm going to just say hi every time.
Exactly, right? I'll see. There's a lot of chat. There's a lot of stuff in the chat, so I'll see what I can find. It does seem like there's definitely some people, someone in Croatia who's just starting a Library of Things project, super excited. Let me get down to some of the questions. Oh, someone was talking about how they used, I think it was when you were talking about looking in your closets. So they looked at their COVID supplies and turned a lot of those into their Library of Things, like a green screen, tripods, and things like that. So
Awesome.
that's really cool. Let's see. A couple people were answering questions to other people in the chat, but I'll pull them out anyway. They were asking about minors borrowing things,
Hmm.
with the danger and the price and that sort of thing. If you can talk to that.
Yeah. So again, this is one of those questions that it's wonderful. We have a diversity of answers from, right? And again, that's important because what works here is not necessarily going to work there. So here at our library, we do let minors borrow things because they want to try pottery and things too. Um, and here we have this idea that we don't want to censor things, like we don't want to censor books, but yes, we're censoring some things, guys, for safety and health. We don't want so we don't let kids borrow blades. So like they're not allowed to have borrow the oyster knives, even though they very well may use oysters. They're not allowed to borrow the broad fork for no-till egg because you got to get that thing home. They're not allowed to borrow. There's a growing kit where you have to use basically it involves using water and an electrical pump and anything that has involves water and a pump. I'm like, if you don't read those instructions, and you might not know like water and electricity don't mix. So we've done a few things like that. But the biggest thing we do actually is just like with adult books. We actually keep the adult books in the adult section of the library, which is on the second floor. So all of those kids, though, their parents can come borrow the tools and then use them at home. Different libraries actually answer this question differently, though. Many libraries, you have to be 18 and older. Membership libraries that are not in a public library system often deal with things differently. We also have libraries of things that are specifically for teens and specifically for children. So and those we purchase things differently, we package things differently. Like the teen section actually has consumables. Like it's the cool art supplies that are all consumables. So like if your teen comes home and like, Mom, I really would like this, and you're like, go to the library. They have it. So that everyone has access to that cool new thing that, is very trendy.
And that brings up another question, actually. Someone was saying, any ideas for teen focus Library of Things? So I think you kind of answered that. And I'm sure getting
Yeah.
on the mutual aid group, you could find out a lot more.
Yeah, we have
Um,
a ton. Basically, those are the perfect questions because people get excited because everyone can contribute. Oh, my teens love this. Oh,
mhm.
mine love that.
That's awesome. Someone else is asking about instances where things are not returned and how do you approach it? Somebody else actually commented and said where they work, the people can work off the charge by volunteering, which I thought was interesting. But do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we are again really privileged that we're a fine-free library here. We're a non again, every library in every community is different, right? Some are government, some are nonprofits, some are membership-based libraries, so you have to pay a fee to participate. Other people, you're paying
Mhm.
taxes. So every library has a different answer. Our library, we don't charge fines if you're late with an item, but we do charge if you don't return the item. So if you just totally don't return the item, then we have a conversation with you, and then maybe it was in a fire. We'll take that hit for the team. We're not going to put you. But if you were like, I was dancing on the table, even though you told me not to dance on the table, and then we'll say, okay, what do we think we should do about that? And they're like, I should probably give you money for it. I mean, it happens so rarely. The only thing that,
Mhm.
these are those common questions that people are like, doesn't it come back dirty? It happened like once, right? And it never did again. And we didn't actually accept it back. Like at our library, we don't have a cleaning fee. We charge you for the item. If you're going to give us a dirty
Yeah.
item, we charge you for the item. And then amazingly, things get clean.
Wow, that's a great wow. I hadn't thought about that. That's a great way to deal with it. All right. Another question from Sarah in the chat is, how do you guarantee that an item will be available when a patron reserves a thing on a specific day? Like, do you cancel the reservation if the item doesn't come back? That's kind of what's keeping us from doing bookings and reservations. We allow requesting on first come, first serve.
Yeah, so there are so many good solutions for this. There's some great software solutions. There's some great pieces of pencil and paper solutions for this. In general, I don't guarantee anything in life because life happens. And that's my constant term at the library. Oh, thank you for being a part of this community. We can't guarantee anything, but we'll do our darndest. It's like the help desk. We don't guarantee we'll solve the problem, but we'll do our best to try to help you, right? So we guarantee the attempt, not success. It's not a problem, is the short
Yeah.
answer. You would think it would be. Occasionally it becomes a problem due to life, a car breaking down, circumstances beyond our control. That's okay. That happens. And you know what? The community thinks it's worth it. It
Yeah.
all goes back to them helping make it possible, right? So we're not in this alone. Like this community, at first it was weird, right? But then we with everything that went out, it wasn't like an R scientific academic study here, although I would love to do one
Yeah.
of those too. But we did send out feedback forms, among other things. And so we actually had to change our feedback forms because everyone kept crossing them off and saying, I love it. Like, because we said, hey, do you think the library things is good? What should we add? What should we not? Should we add of these five things? Do you think any of them should be added? The feedback was always, all of them. I love this. I love this. And so it's pretty telling if you walk into a meeting and you drop down 100 crossed off. I think this is something, yeah, yes, the library should be doing this, and I love it. That
Yeah.
that's feedback.
Yeah. Well, what about, let's see, someone saying, how do you approach distorting competition when libraries branch out? It's something that our local
Yeah.
politicians are very worried about when we branch out and lend things that aren't considered traditional library items.
Yeah. Well, um, send them our way if you want. I can talk to them. We work with the competition, I guess. There isn't competition, is because we refuse to play competition. If you guys want to solve social ills for me, go for it. Please, we've got other seaweed to saute here. But no, to your
Yeah.
point, it is worrisome, right? Like we don't want to compete with a local business that's trying to thrive and survive. So we don't. You'll notice on that sheet, we don't lend scaffolding. We don't lend, so big rental agencies that do exist in our region, we don't compete with. In fact, we're sending you to our local agencies. We only do some, like we have a couple of car diagnostic tools and repairing items, but very few because a local car place actually lets you use them because they know that if you use their tools, you'll buy the tool parts from them. And so hardware stores will actually share our bookmarks that you might have seen here. They'll give out bookmarks saying, did you know you can get this at the library? You can get it at the library because they know that if someone has access to a drill, what are they going to do? They're going to use that drill on projects. And where are they going to get the things that they need for those projects? Right over at that local store. So
Yeah.
again, we included those stakeholders in the conversations, and I think that's incredibly important. So that formula of what are the needs? What are
Hmm.
in your community? How are we going to meet those needs? And then you pull those partners in. So our hardware stores, for example, helped us build little free libraries with tools from our things. Our hardware stores helped, so these are nothing, we're not going at this alone.
Yeah. Partnering is key. Supporting your community and they're supporting you. It's
Yeah.
uh it's the way of libraries that ethos we're trying to bring into the whole community. There are just some other really great things in here. Like someone said, for my teen library, I'm setting up a party kit and a clothes repairing kit, and workshops about it. That sounds really awesome. Someone
You
else
got to
was
get the
asking
little
you.
mini loom. The mini looms are really hot right now with teens. If you don't know about them, join the
Oh,
listserv. It's been very cute.
oh my gosh. Okay, so many good things. Got to get on that list and join that mutual aid group. People were talking about lending computer charging cables, which I see a lot of people are like, yes, 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 we lend those. We lend those at my library. They're a hot item for our students that forget and their phone is dying, or for anyone really, not just students. Let's see what else is in here. A lot of just back and forth, people supporting each other. Um, Definitely, it seems like some people concerned about liability with sharp objects
Yep.
or choking hazards and all that. I don't know if you want to speak to that
Absolutely.
briefly.
Yeah, so those are the type of problems that have actually been solved. And wonderfully, they were solved in a lot of ways. And you're going to solve them differently in your library. So, for example, ours, all of the choking hazard things, we have a different storage solutions for that. I can talk to you all day too about this, minutia of like hooks and poles and plastic bins, things that frankly I didn't worry about in the tool library world because we had a barrier kind of getting in the door. You had to go for tools. And we were like, great, tools in a bucket. That works. In a public library, our no, aesthetics were really important here. And tools in a bucket was not going to be a good safety thing because that bucket was going to fall over. So again, that's why it really is going to depend on your place. So for us, we keep things, the choking hazards, away from the younglings who could choke on them. So that's an easy solve. The liability, there are a number of insurers who will insure you. You actually probably have great liability insurance anyway, especially if you tell them, yeah, we're not going to lend ladders, we're not going to lend table saws, we're not going to lend some of those items that make them go, ooh, yikes. And rightly so, because do you trust all your neighbors with those items? I wish I did, but I don't. That's why we don't lend chainsaws. But then Estonia is delivering chainsaws on their public bus. So, it's again, it's going to fit your community.
Yeah, that is, I think, the key. It's your community. There's different solutions out there. Get in with these groups, talk to each other. This has been fantastic. It's at the end of the hour, so we're gonna end the webinar now, but there's still some more questions. We'll have the chat. Hazel will get to see the chat, and hopefully we'll get these out in some of these online places where people can connect and share. Wonderful.
Again,
All
thank you so
right.
much for the opportunity and for all of you on the call, being interested in this. And I hope I get to work with you all. And, we're in this together. So together we're going to help each other out and we can do it. We can make a difference
Good.
and do some good.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you, Hazel. Thank you all. The recording and slides will be out soon. Stay
Yay.
tuned.
Bye.